Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, spirit, source, and symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive insights and wisdom, and we go as guided. And as we wrap up the month of August, it's an 8-month, and there are a lot of 8s in the energies for this week, and that will permeate out, ripple out. So let's just take a real quick look at the main energies. The month, of course, is an 8, so it's uniting, unite. The day is the 28th of August, 2024. So the 28 denotes critical mass and adjust. And you'll see how this is a critical moment. We've been talking about these moments that are pinnacle moments. The year is an 8. So again, uniting, unite. Then it all culminates in 26, controlled power, amplify. And we're going to work with Hexagram 26 here in a moment. And that, of course, the 2 and the 6 becomes another 8, uniting, unite. So these triple 8s, there's a lot of 8s. And remember, we began the month of August with the Lion's Gate, the red lion. And it was August 8th, and 2024 is an 8. So 888. So a lot of, in case you're missing it, a lot of 8 energy. And this about uniting, coming together from the inside out. Welcome, Olivia. Welcome, Alicia. And so we're going to concentrate because today, August 28th, Mercury stations direct. And of course, this happens, Mercury goes retrograde. So it stations direct, it stations retrograde 3-4 times a year. However, this one, which you will see, we're going to spend some time with the astrological chart and how that is playing out. Because, again, recall that Mercury is how we think, we speak, we communicate. It's one of the interpersonal planets. So it's our thoughts, our speech. It controls contracts and electronics, and Mercury, the messenger to the gods. So let's take a look here. Before we jump into our main theme, we're going to look at the astrological chart. And this is for Mercury stations direct today, the 28th. And so while that's important, what's fascinating about this and what will be playing out for the next 5-6 years is this kite pattern within the astrological wheel. So looking at the center of the wheel, you see the very prominent blue lines that form the right side of the kite. At the base is Venus. If you go up almost to the top center of the chart, there's Pluto. You come slightly down to the left, about 10 o'clock, there's Neptune. Come further down to about 8 o'clock, you see the green symbol for Uranus. And then you bring it back down to Venus sitting at the base. And directly, the crossbar of the kite is between Uranus and Pluto. So this kite formation, it's an astrological, and I'll explain it here in a second. This kite formation is going to be playing out repetitively for the next 5 to 6 years. And it's going to keep playing out with Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. And at the base of the kite, where Venus is there now, the sun will move into that position shortly, then followed by Mercury, and so on. And it will move. Right now, it is in Earth water signs. It's going to move into air fire. So we're moving from Earth to air. And let me just give you a quick explanation of what the kite is. A kite configuration, and this is from Lunar Living Astrology. The kite configuration is an extension of the grand trine. There is a fourth planet that opposes one of the 3 trine planets, and trines are harmonious aspects, so sextiles and trines. Kites will always be in the same polarity, either masculine, fire and air, or feminine, earth and water. So we're moving from this earth element. We'll finish out the year 2024 with the kites in earth, and then we're moving to air. The influence of the kite pattern is similar to grand trines with added motivation and potential. And so just think, and if this is going to tie in, because number 4 from the unseen, and which we'll get to, but love lifting us up. So think of this kite. When you fly a kite as a kid, as an adult, it doesn't matter what age, this beauty of the kite, being lifted up, the wind carrying us, air, lifting us, raising us higher and higher and higher and higher. So the opposition is especially productive. The opposition in this chart is between Neptune, illusion and highest ideals and dreams, and Venus, divine feminine. So the opposition is especially productive in spurring individuals to utilize the opportunities and gifts offered up by the grand trine. Oppositions, however, are not always the best at creating actions without having another individual involved in the process. So this opposition, there's a contrast that's required. It's like, what's at stake? And we've been talking about this in this shift from divine masculine to divine feminine, from Piscean to Aquarian, from patriarchal to matriarchal. So we have this, in order to truly get them, the oppositions, we need that contrasting element. The opposition influence is not self-sufficient, but instead is interaction-oriented by nature. At its best, the opposition provides a sense of bearing and of a spotlight. So it's giving us a focal point, a place to look to. The opposition is. For the kite configuration, the planet in the grand trine that is being opposed becomes the focal point. So in this case, Venus is being opposed. Think of the trine as being a type of crossbow, with the sextile aspect being the bowstring. The arrow would be the opposition reaching across the chart from the sextiles to the tip of the trines. So we don't have to get lost in the sextiles and the trines and the astrological. The issue here, the narrative, the issue here is that this is a huge opportunity, and these opportunities are going to continue to play out, and they're going to change elements from earth to air. And so again, literally everything about this, we're moving from a very fixed state, and we've known this for look back. Everything's very fixed, and we went to a particular place, and we worked there, and that's where we lived, and so forth, and generations, and so forth, and so on. And now all of a sudden, COVID and everything really shook loose this thing of, well, now we telework, and now we can work with over the internet. We can be anywhere in the world and do our works and so forth. And so from fixed earth to air, this fluidity. The quiver end of the arrow sets the stage, while the blade of the arrow guides the individual in the direction for action. While the individual with a grand trine might generally have an easier time in life, the individual may lack a sense of purpose, awareness, or perspective until they are made aware of the grand trine's potentials. So this is speaking to when it's in our individual natal charts. But now we're looking at this as a whole, because this is happening on behalf of the greater whole. On the other hand, the individual with the kite is likely to sense that there is something more. So we have an awareness when there's a kite in your individual chart. But here for the collective, these kite formations are going to be showing up. So it's like we may think that we have an easier time in life, and yet we lack a sense of purpose. Or on the other hand, we're aware of it, and we're aware that there's something more. And we've been speaking about this. There's something more. There's something on the other side of everything we've already known, the past, everything we've experienced. But we may not be aware of how to tap into its talents or tap into it. Consistently finding the motivation for the best expression of that kite configuration may be the more difficult task for the individual. So what we may be facing is how to tap into this. It may come naturally to us, or it may be that it's challenging to us. But the awareness to bring up the chart again, here's this kite formation. And what struck me about this so much intuitively, looking at the interior circle, and again, the kite, and the blue, the trine aspects. But there was this interesting aspect of the fact that it's Neptune and Venus. So the illusion of the divine feminine, and yet the highest ideal, the greatest dreams and aspirations of it, and that it's lifting us higher. And so there's this opposition going on where, and remember, Neptune, illusions. And so not only are we're confronting the illusions of the divine feminine, a long time, a lot of oppression and suppression and devaluation and omission, degradation, all of that illusion is being blown away, blown out. And just to bring up, while I'm speaking about this, and then look at all the red lines, the opposition and everything. And then you see at the base, there's Jupiter, there's Mars, there's a lot of fortune in the moon, things that are being revealed. Mars, so the divine masculine. And these old ways that are literally, you see like the red line, like the collapsing of the old. The collapsing of not the divine masculine in totality, but in what no longer serves. So there's this kind of like, in essence, it's the weight of its own undoing. And so it's collapsing, the red lines, everything's collapsing below, and the kite and everything is lifting up, taking us higher. And that, in this moment, it's based on the chart of Mercury stationing direct, meaning it's time to move forward. This is the last retrograde in the year, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And so there's an interesting element here where it takes us to our main theme. And our main theme is the future, blowing the roof off the past. You see a vast ocean, vast open sky, a lone palm tree where you can see the force of the winds just galing against the fronds of the palm tree. And notice in the image, the future, it's at the top, it's in larger font, blowing the roof off the past. It's the last thing, and it's getting smaller, because the further away we get from the past, the smaller it becomes, the smaller it is. And so the future, blowing the roof off the past. And this brings us to the first thing the unseen said. And so with this theme, they said, bringing back up the image of Columbia. And it's the song, it was made even more famous in the movie Notting Hill. Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone. It's by Bill Withers. The point here is, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, meaning liberty, freedom, justice, Columbia, the divine feminine representation of these ideals. Amaji from the Sumerian, which we've covered many times. I'll just bring that up. Here's Amaji, return to the mother, freedom, manumission. It's this inner calling within us that has been suppressed, taken for granted. We have been living in a patriarchal era, this Piscean patriarchal era, and we have forgotten, the unseen is saying in the moment, we've forgotten our way. We've forgotten our harmony, our balance, our unity, our oneness. And so the unseen is saying, literally, with the kite formations, with this Mercury stationing direct, the future, we're blowing the roof off the past. We're moving away from the past. We're moving forward. We're moving higher. And there ain't no sunshine when she's gone, meaning everything that's a divine feminine, the Lady Justice, liberty, freedom, justice. And why? Why is this important? Why now? Because it's the Aquarian age, and this was the main theme from a few shows ago in August, a potent moment in time, and the backdrop of the American flag and the Bill of Rights, we the people. The Aquarian age is all about we the people. It is not the backdrop, the image is of the American flag and the American Bill of Rights and so forth, the gavel and so forth. But the ideal is universal. Doesn't matter where you are, where you live and reside on the planet. These ideals of liberty, freedom, justice, equality, harmony, unity, they're on offer. They're ever present. And this is the paramount message of this moment. That is why it's now. And so, because it is the second thing from the unseen, they said, a culminating, quote, moment in time. And culminating, reach a climax or point of highest development. So again, we're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. And you'll see where this is playing out. I'll repeat that again. So this is a culminating moment in time. It is that peak moment where we reach the peak and we then discover what's on the other side. Because everything before the peak is patriarchal. Everything on the other side of the peak is matriarchal. And it's something that in our lifetimes, in this present span of life, we haven't experienced yet. So that's why this is important. And it's even more important. It's exciting. It's exciting. We already know where we've been. Master Jesus, with the disciples, you ask where we're going without knowing where you've been. So now we know where we've been. And Pluto, retrograding back for this final time into Capricorn. It is the mandrakes. We've used this example, the mandrakes from the Harry Potter series, where they're being pulled up. So the tree of life, it's being shaken by its roots. Everything that does not serve, no longer serves, is being shaken loose. And we are moving forward because we're being transplanted into a greater pot, into a larger pot, into new soil, new experiences, new. We are moving forward. And that growth requires expansion. It requires a greater canvas, tapestry, pot to flourish in. So let's move to, I want to give you a few. There are 2 Bible verses, and then with our main theme, because this was very interesting, but let me bring both of these in. So Hebrews 11:1. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. So again, there's an awareness. These kite formations can mean that there's an awareness, and we're looking for the way to tap into it. So faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. 2 Corinthians 13:8-9. For we cannot oppose the truth, but must always stand for the truth. The truth, not a truth. Not my truth, your truth, the truth. So, for we cannot oppose the truth, but must always stand for the truth. We are glad to seem weak if it helps show that we are actually strong. And you will see this in Hexagram 26, this strength, not force, this humility, not hubris, that all of these things that we are glad to seem weak if it helps show that you are actually strong. And with our main theme, the future, blowing the roof off the past, it kept vacillating from the unseen. It kept vacillating between blowing the roof off and blowing the lid off. So blowing the roof off to completely upset or excite people, generating a huge reaction, to react with great excitement, to go wild. Blowing the lid off, to reveal the truth about something, to make public something that people did not know before. You're going to see with Uranus, when I get to Pam Youngin's North Point Astrology Journal, and she's talking about the three aspects are Uranus, Mercury, and Pluto. And so blowing the lid off the past to reveal the truth, because Uranus is the higher mind of Mercury. It represents the universal mind. And thereby this expect the unexpected. So to reveal the truth about something, to make public something that people did not know before, and then to completely upset or excite people, generating a huge reaction, to react with great excitement, to go wild. This can be Uranus as well, but it can also be Pluto shaking the roots. This excitement of being transplanted, expanded. And with our astrological influences, let me bring them up here. The statement was now or never. So there's an element here when from 8-8, the Lion's Gate 888, we had the Mars-Jupiter conjunction, followed by the full blue supermoon in Aquarius. It was an Aquarius full blue supermoon, to the double T squares, to now Mercury stations direct, and the kite configuration and everything, and this moment in time, this culminating moment in time. And the unseen is saying now or never. And I don't know about you, but I'm all in for now. I'm not interested in never. We've already been there. Now says now. Now is the time. Now is the time that we reach the peak and peek over and experience the other side. What's on the other side of the peak, of the mountain? We haven't experienced it yet, but we're going to. So let's take a look then now at Hexagram 26. And it is, as I bring it up here, controlled power. Its action is amplify. Hidden influence, propriety, subordinate. Its underlining cause, gathering together, network. 8, unity, uniting. And it speaks to, and this is from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com, your vital force is not wanting, only waiting for you to tap it. See, it's already within us. It's latent within us. The kite configurations, the opportunities, the now or never, all of these elements are present within us. So your vital force is not wanting. It's not lacking for something. It's not needing something. It's only waiting for us to tap it, to tap into it, to say yes. It brings up our first quote, which is so beautiful. It says, "We are told not to cross the bridge until we come to it. But this world is formed by those who crossed bridges in their imaginations far ahead of the crowd." This is an anonymous quote. And here's the beauty of this bridge. Once again, the waters and the sky. So open waters, open sky, the vastness of it. Water represents the universal consciousness, the unseen. We have this beautiful as above, so below element. And when you see the glowing orb in the distance. So we are told not to cross the bridge until we come to it. But this world is formed by those who crossed bridges in their imaginations far ahead of the crowd. So this is speaking to the fact that, again, with the kite formation and everything, this knowing, and that we're meant to cross the bridge. We're meant to, Neptune and Venus, we're meant to shatter the illusion, the fears of the divine feminine, to receive, to reap the highest benefits, the highest rewards, the highest nourishment of the divine feminine. There's nothing to fear and everything to gain. And to do so with this optimism and wisdom and divine knowing that this is the time. It's now. It's not about never. That's not an option. It's about now. So Hexagram 26. True power need not be demonstrated as creative energy is restrained beneath the mountain of keeping still. Ta Chu focuses on the power of silence and stillness, while others are running around demonstrating their power. One who is strong has no need to prove anything. See, it's about strength, not force. Controlled power has propriety as its hidden influence because a will under the sheer steadiness of a mountain allows it to become incredibly powerful. There is also a need for timing and appropriate expression. So there's controlled power, this right actions, divine timing, listening to your soul source connection. Another's insecurity is no match for the power of silence. So you don't have to engage in an argument. You don't have to fight the opposition, argue, engage in a lower octave. Another's insecurity is no match for the power of silence. Since controlled power follows innocence, all that is learned from patience and non-action is now ready to be harnessed creatively. When the will is in the service of acceptance and the good of all, this deliberate intent is unstoppable. So see, when the will is in alignment, when ego, mind, personality, the will is in alignment, in service of acceptance and the good of all, it's harmonious, it's unified, it's balanced, and thereby it's unstoppable. The message we deliver is amplified because our inner truth radiates as the embodiment of Tao. Combining holding firm, holding steady, holding to heaven's way, and nurturing others, this is the hexagram of the true sage. When water meets a dam, it continues to rise in power until it overwhelms whatever blocked its flow. So this opposition, Neptune, Venus, when water meets a dam, it continues to rise in power until it overwhelms whatever blocked its flow. So the divine feminine has been blocked. But it doesn't come out and run roughshod and whatever. It continues to expand. It continues to rise. It continues to meet the moment. And then eventually, it removes whatever blocked its flow. When you renew your willingness to marry to your Tao daily, you become a reservoir for enormous creative expression that benefits all, we the people. We are going from an ego mind personality, Piscean patriarchal, me era to a we the people, to this Aquarian age where we lead with the benefit of all at the forefront. And by default, the individual, I, is the custodian, receives the joy of the experience, the nourishment, the happiness, the expansion. But we've flipped the script. It's now the soul leading. It's the divine feminine leading. And the divine masculine, ego, mind, personality, is in alignment and receives the beauty of that. You can draw on a power that need not be demonstrated, but is just so. Its simplicity makes everything easy. This is our second quote. And such a beautiful image. The quote is, "Become the master of your response." And in the image, you see this formidable lion. And one half is in shadow, and the other half is illuminated by the light, by the sun. Become the master of your response. So this is about taming our animalistic natures, our lower octaves, our lower energies, purifying them, rising to the moment, rising to the occasion, so that our responses are met in this new era, this new octave. Because again, it's cheap and easy to denigrate, to divide. It's the least among us. And yet there's far more greatness embodied in a response that is patient, that is reasoned, that is inclusive, that listens, that understands, and then says, I see you. Namaste. I bow to the divine in you. I see you. Let us walk together. Now, this may sound idealistic. However, the ideal becomes the new reality. So this isn't idealistic. It's the highest octave of our being. That's what's on offer. We close with this. And again, this image of the lion, just going to put it up for a moment here. In China, the lion protected the forests, and its likeness was used to protect the gates and temples. Think of the sphinxes, the lions on the Giza pyramid complex. Another gatekeeper, the dragon carp, had only one goal: crossing the dragon gate. Beyond this gate, many believed paradise could be found. Like the salmon, the carp swims upstream and jumps the rapids, and came to symbolize human advancement and achievement in life. The kite formation, lifting us higher. The salmon and the carp, jumping upstream, leaping up out of the water to reach a higher octave. The dragon carp is a constant reminder of the pursuit of excellence, reflecting how following instinct makes obstacles non-existent. Instincts, knowing, intuition, divine feminine, soul source connection, not ego, mind, personality. Following those instincts makes obstacles non-existent. Where the lion symbolizes great passion and fearlessness, the carp is a symbol of instinctual perseverance. This is your te, the instinctual awareness that knows exactly where you need to be in the here and now, and it is perfect. This is about right place, right time, divine timing. And this is where we are. We are at a culminating moment in time, to reach a climax or point of highest development. Transforming the illusion of how you must conquer and take, you can develop the powerful peacefulness that comes when you no longer see the world as a place of obstacles. Neptune, opposite Venus. So we're transforming the illusion. Just as the tree requires the storms for regeneration, and the stone carves away the seed's protective covering, like the creatures that feel the cold as a call for hibernation or migration, or the plant that instinctively knows the time to flower, you too are fundamentally connected to the evolutionary force of life. We're made for this moment. We know it. And whether we're acting in fear or light, either we're running to the peak or we're trying to run back down the mountain in fear to the past, we too are fundamentally connected to the evolutionary force of life. It's innate in us. We know it. Te is your instinctual endowment and connection to life. When cultivated alongside of fearlessness, it is like water that finds its own course without any sense of barriers. Water can dissolve mountains and evens out, regardless of where it flows. The power of Te connects you to the germinating power of life. Transcending the gate or the illusion of obstacles leads to a type of paradise in consciousness. So it means we overcome anything that we thought we were incapable of doing. We just simply need, like the kite, we need to rise to the occasion. We got to get liftoff. And when you think about it, the kite to a string, and what do? You run. You kind of run, lightly jog, run, whatever, to get the wind, the air, to grab the kite and lift it higher. So regardless of where it flows, the power of take connects you to that germinating power of life. Transcending the gate or the illusion of obstacles leads to a type of paradise in consciousness. Because it's joy when the kite's up in the air and you're flying the kite. It's happiness, it's joy. This paradise is simply a place without boundaries. It's limitless. Anything's possible. That is one of the great American ideals. I just saw Oprah say this. Only in America would her experience, she said, would my experience or this experience now occur, be made possible, because it's limitless. Life's secret is that it has been committed to your success since the beginning. Mystery upon mystery, the gateway of its manifold secrets. To take no action that is unnatural to your instinctive nature ensures that you will meet with no resistance. So when you're aligned with your soul source connection, when you take no unnatural action, you will meet with no resistance. If we're in ego, mind, personalityville, beg, barter, borrow, steal, negotiate, procrastinate, we're going to meet with obstacles. But when we're in the flow of the soul, no resistance. Lastly, Carrie Hone says, overcoming others shows force. When you overcome yourself, you are strong. So we have this beauty of Hexagram 26 of controlled power and this opportunity to amplify, to magnify our essence, our being. That's what we're looking at. So let's take a look now at, we're going to go to Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. It's talking about the astrology. And as we were showing, because we're going to get to the Sabian symbols because they're incredible. And as we do that, let me bring in our mantra, because you're going to see how this all ties together in the sense that in this moment of now or never, and this culminating moment in time and the future, blowing the roof off the past, uniting, the eights, unite, coming together, we the people. There's a beautiful message. It's our mantra, and it's number 3 from the unseen. And it speaks to, we carry the mantle of freedom forward. Each of us carry the mantle of freedom forward. And in the image, you see the desert sands and this magnificent, like it almost goes from opaque to the purples and the pinks and everything. This image, like it's coming from the unseen, it's a piece of fabric, of course, in the image, and yet it's far more than that. It's liberty, it's freedom. So we carry the mantle of freedom forward. And a mantle, a figurative cloak symbolizing preeminence or authority. See, liberty and freedom and justice and equality, they imbue us with a sense of preeminence. They symbolize it and they imbue us with preeminence and authority because we are one. So when we recognize, when we celebrate, when we rise higher like the kite, throughout the globe, throughout the land, when we look to our neighbor to see the best in them, to find the best in them, to seek it, to see it, it exists, and to lift one another up. Again, around the globe, no matter who you are, where you are, when we seek the highest ideal of every culture, of every peoples, of every gender, of every soul, greatness is at hand. When 2 or more are gathered, there I am present. The unseen, God, Source, is present. We only need to seek it out. So Pam Youngin speaks to Uranus, Mercury, and Pluto. and this is North Point Journal, Pam Youngins. The last days of August. The passage of time goes more and more quickly. As we enter the last week of August, we are still integrating the effects of some rather intense astrological events that have occurred in the past 2 months. At the same time, we are also navigating an increase in the energies associated with Uranus. Uranus is a piece of the kite. This planet, named for the god of the sky and the heavens, is especially influential for the next 2 weeks due to being at a virtual standstill. Its forward movement is almost imperceptible this week as it prepares to station retrograde next Sunday, September 1st. Its backward motion will then be equally unnoticeable during the first week of September. In essence, sideways spinning Uranus has set up camp in the middle of the road we are traveling and is therefore very hard to ignore. So this heightened blowing the roof off the past, expecting the unexpected, things that are going to shake the roots, Pluto shaking the roots, going back to, and you'll see here in a minute, going back to finish up business, is going to be hard to ignore. In mundane reality, Uranus plays the role of the radical, the nonconformist, the liberator, the rule breaker. Its tasks are to help free us from restrictions, to encourage independence, and to break us free from shoulds, whether externally or internally imposed. These I should do this or you should do that type of mentality and language story script. Like a lightning bolt, Uranus tends to act in surprising and sudden ways. The common astrological advice is to expect the unexpected when we are working with its influence. Since the planet is somewhat electrical in its effect, we may experience heightened nervous energy in our bodies, difficulty focusing our minds on one subject for long, and an overall restlessness and impatience with whatever we are ready to be freed from. That whole go, 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 and yet needing to be, awaiting Mercury stationing direct, which it's doing, so as to make the right steps at the right time, divine timing. Pam says she likes to use a good assortment of compound words that start with, quote, break, when she describes Uranus's potential effect. Break through, break down, break out, break away. So you see this, the kite, the image of the kite, the flowing mantle, our mantra, that beautiful image. We carry the mantle of freedom forward. So we're breaking away, breaking through, breaking away from the past. Currently, in steady but sometimes inflexible Taurus, the planet invites us to change our set ways, to break old habits and routines, and to risk stepping beyond the familiar, especially if our comfort zone has actually been a place of stagnation. So the mandrakes, it's comfortable in the little pot. We know it. It's comfortable in our lives, in the way we think and the people we like and all of these things, that the masks, the labels, the identities, the scripts, the stories that we tell ourselves. And like the mandrakes being pulled up, and they had to put the earmuffs on because the mandrake shrieks. It doesn't like it. It's in its nice little warm, cozy pot. Well, but that denotes stagnation because it won't grow any further. It can't. Its container is limiting it. Well, that's the same with our lives and our thoughts and our choices. And if we just stagnate in where we've already been, we will never grow beyond that. So it is time to be transplanted into a larger, greater pot so that our expansiveness, our growth becomes a reality. It shines. And that's one of the points here. Let me just bring this up. It's been one of our images from before, and it'll tie into the rise of the Guardians and the Legends Unite. It's happening because it's time to shine. In the image, it's of Jack Frost. His magical staff was broken by pitch, by the darkness, and yet he realized it's time to show up. It's time to become a guardian, a custodian, a guardian. It's time to realize what's at our center. And so it's time to shine. Transpersonal Uranus, continuing with Pam Youngin from North Point Journal. Transpersonal Uranus, on a higher vibrational level, Uranus is the planetary representative of the universal mind. It is known as, quote, the higher octave of the planet Mercury, granting us access to our higher selves and our higher consciousness. We're going back to where we began, but an octave higher. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So we've been in our mercurial minds. Now we're being moved into our Uranian minds, higher mind, higher consciousness. When Uranus is strong, we may be more open to insights and downloads. Intuition is strengthened, as is our ability to think outside the box. Our minds receive, process, and communicate information in new ways. We're open to the discovery. We're open to something beyond ourselves. Where we've been is no longer enough. This can be exciting, of course, but it can also lead to miscommunications or misperceptions of mundane reality. This potential problem is reinforced with Mercury being retrograde and stationing direct this weekend. All of us will be feeling the heightened impact of Uranus to a varying degree over the next 2 weeks, depending on where we are in our soul's journey and how the planet is affecting our birth charts. So let's just take a quick look at the two symbols, Sabian symbols from Dane Rudyard and Astrological Mandala. Here's Uranus. A woman past her, quote, change of life experiences a new love. The keynote, man's capacity to rise in consciousness and feelings above biological limitations. There's been a lot in the press, certainly in the United States, about the value of women. And is their value solely their reproductive ability, or is it greater than that? And what happens a woman past her change of life? This is speaking about menopause. Well, is her only worth to tend to the grandchildren or the children? That she has no greater worth? Of course not. Which says, because remember, this isn't just about women, the gender of women. This is about the divine feminine within all of us. This is about exceeding ageism. It's finding value all along the journey, not just in a peak moment of it. After having stated the youthful and the aged approach of the human individual to the use of what their culture has brought to them, the symbolism stresses man's capacity to rise above the limitations which both biological nature and the normal social pattern of behavior have tried to impose on them. See, there's an overlay, there's a suppression, there's a judgment, there's a being diminished. As in many of the preceding symbols, a woman is pictured because at this early stage of the cyclic process, the individual consciousness still has a receptive or feminine polarity. They can receive our connection to the soul source connection is strong. It's still ever present. As was indicated in the very first symbol of the entire cycles, Aries 1. Whenever this stage is brought to a person's consciousness, this is being brought to our collective awareness. It's in the chart for the whole. The indication is that he or she should freely open his or her mind to the possibility of, in capital letters, new beginnings. Ideally, the new beginnings should imply a more mature response. I master my response. A more mature response to the new possibility of experience. It denotes maturity, wisdom, openness, new beginnings. It's Uranus. This is the unseen could not be screaming louder at us that there is value throughout our lives, in all of our lives. We are all equal. We are all one. And anything less than that, any judgment, anything less than that is an illusion. And so here's Uranus, the higher octave, the higher mind of consciousness. Expect the unexpected, saying, past your prime, quote unquote, there are new beginnings. Your life's not over. You're not diminished. You're enhanced. There's something on the other side of the mountain of where you've already been. Here's the Sabian symbol for Mercury, stationing direct, the kite formation. A carrier pigeon fulfilling its mission. Mercury is it's our interpersonal planet of how we think, talk, communicate with one another. A carrier pigeon fulfilling its mission. The keynote, spirituality in terms of training for service to mankind. So it's spirituality, higher octave, in terms of training for service to mankind. In contrast with the intoxicated chicken, we now have the successfully trained carrier pigeon delivering the message. Delivering the message. It was its function to carry. See, it's innate in it. It's innate in us. Here, the domesticated bird is seen endowed with a special significance and purpose. This is our now. This is the time. And we're endowed with this special significance and purpose. A figurative cloak symbolizing preeminence or authority, carrying the mantle of freedom forward. This refers to spiritual energies which are being used constructively and which bring to the consciousness messages from other realms. It's the unseen speaking to us, through us, with us. Individual realizations acquire their true meaning only as they fulfill a collective function. Collective, we the people, Aquarian. This second stage symbol clearly presents a contrasting alternative to what the preceding picture revealed. The release of higher energies becomes effective and valuable to the extent to which it serves a higher but concrete and definite purpose. This is speaking to effective, valuable, higher, concrete, definite purposes and this higher energies that are being released. We are being called to rise to the occasion. Now is the moment. This is the ideal of, quote, the world server. Aquarian, where we the people, we serve one another and by action and by default receive. It's an inverse of where we've been. It's why it's confusing to us. It's why, because again, we've been in this patriarchal I, me, I, ego, mind, personality driven era. And now it's just being flipped on its head because we're moving out of that. We're shaking loose what no longer serves to retain the best of it as we move forward. Now let's go back and wrap up with Pam Youngin's North Point Astrology Journal. Pluto re-enters Capricorn. Pluto is retrograding at the moment. Transformational Pluto continues to dance between Aquarius and Capricorn, re-entering the sign of the sea goat next Sunday. Again, same day that Uranus stations retrograde, Pluto regresses back into Capricorn. The powerful dwarf planet first set foot in Aquarius in March of 2023, but soon went retrograde and exited the sign in June. It crossed the threshold into Aquarius again in January of 2024, but will once again transit Capricorn from September 1st to November 19th. At that point, it will enter Aquarius and remain there for the next 20 plus, give or take, years. When a planet, by retrograde, dips back into a sign that it once left, we can assume that it has unfinished business to complete, related to the themes of the old sign, to the past. In this case, Pluto is returning to Capricorn to finish the task of dismantling and purifying areas that are ruled by the sign. Politics, governments, economies, social systems, industries, and businesses. We can expect some disarray in these arenas over the next few months as rototiller Pluto digs up toxic weeds and prepares the soil for new Aquarian seeds to be planted. It doesn't get any more clear than this. It's going to go back. Pluto in Capricorn is going to go back. We've spoken about the tree of life. It's going to shake the roots. It's going to shake us. I would say a phrase, like shake the pee out of you. It's going to shake us because, like the mandrakes, we're being transplanted. So, and it's going back to finish up old business, to dismantle and purify. It's not dismantling things to harm us. It's not, tearing things apart just for fun. Never. The unseen only ever works on our behalf for our good. And thus, it's doing so to purify our systems, our industries, and our businesses. And institutions, business leaders, I implore you, the unseen implores you to listen, to be proactive. Don't be entrenched in your old ways. Be proactive. Look at how you can change, and even in our personal lives as individuals, because of course, businesses and institutions and governments and all of these things are comprised of people. So be willing to look into our lives, our individual lives, to make the right choices, because forward we go. Period. Now or never. It's a now. It's not never. It's a now. Can you imagine it's a never? You would never move forward. You would never be more than you are in this moment today. You would never have another new experience. This is it. How mundane and stagnant would that life be? A repetitive Stepford Wives, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Groundhog Day. I can't imagine it. And I hope that you can't imagine that either. Because what that reality is not for us. So last but not least, the Sabian symbols with Pluto, with the Mercury stationing retrograde horary chart. Pluto, there's two, because Pluto is sitting right at 30 degrees, and then on Sunday, so today on the 28th of August, it's at 30 degrees. And by Sunday, it's going to be at it's at 1 degree Aquarius, right, or 0 degrees Aquarius right now, and it's going to move to 30 degrees Capricorn. Apologies. So here's for Aquarius, where it sits today, an old Adobe mission in California, the power inherent in all great human works to endure far beyond the worker's lifespans. And this symbol speaks to us of the concretization of an ideal. This also implies the immortalization of an individual within a great collective and cultural experience. So there's a moment here, this concretization of an ideal. Pluto in Aquarius is all about the Aquarian era, the matriarchal era, the return of the divine feminine, the concretization of an ideal. And it also immortalizes an individual within that great collective cultural enterprise and experience. There is a female candidate running for president of the United States. Not the first time that's occurred, but there's the potentiality, the reality, this concretization of an ideal, that a woman is more than capable of being president of the United States. And that it's now, this time, this moment, this era, because we carry the mantle of freedom forward. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She being Columbia, liberty, freedom, justice, equality, harmony. It's that ideal that is being carried forward, that is being delivered. And on Sunday, when Pluto dips back into Capricorn, the symbol is a secret meeting of men responsible for executive decisions in world affairs. At any level, this symbol refers to the highest form of social interaction. In this symbol, we see in it the culmination of social responsibility and a reference to executive power. So, of course, being president of the United States is the highest office in the land in the United States. So executive power. But this also speaks to executive power, higher mind, as above, so below. The legends unite. And let me just bring up this beautiful image. We've been using the reference of the animated movie Rise of the Guardians. And of course, it took all of them. There's Santa Claus, there's Jack Frost, there's the Easter Bunny, there's Sandman, there's the Tooth Fairy, there's these legends, Santa Claus, there's these legends that come together to save humanity, hope, the light, the goodness in all of us. They unite to purify the illusion of the darkness, of pitch black, of the boogeyman. And it comes down to one, the character's name is Jamie. It comes down to one child who refuses to give up a belief in something greater, a belief in the unseen, a belief of a life lit with the light worth living, that's future-oriented. And so this beautiful moment that we sit with, because number 4 from the unseen, it's a song by Amber, and it said, the song is called Above the Clouds. And there's a secondary line in the lyrics that says, love lifting us up. I'll post it on the Facebook, Dearjames Facebook page in the show comments. But the song is Above the Clouds, love lifting us up. The song is by Amber. And I just want to go very quickly because they made an emphasis, the unseen, about the etymology of the word and the name Amber. And this is from Ancient Names for Amber by Getty.edu. The standard Greek word for amber was electron. The derivation of this word is uncertain, although scholars have suggested that it might have connections with helko, meaning to draw or attract, or with aleko, meaning to ward off evil. Confronting the boogeyman, to ward off evil, to attract the light. The word is certainly associated with elector, used in the Iliad to mean, quote, the beaming sun, our life force, and is most likely derived from an Indo-European verb with the root meanings brilliant or to shine. Time to shine. It's time to shine. We are brilliant beings in the light, in service to a higher ideal, a higher opportunity, a higher version and vision of reality. This quality of beaming or reflecting the sun is also suggested by the Germanic word for amber, gley or glees, recorded in some ancient Latin sources as glacum, the same word used for glass in this period. The Indo-Germanic root for the word gel means lustrous, shimmering, or bright, and gives us words such as glisten, glitter, glow, and yellow in English. The current German word for amber, going back to the 13th century Middle Low German, is similarly evocative. Bernstein or Bernstein means burning stone. We are a fractal of the divine. We are its reflection, its transparency. That's why the image from our mantra is so appropriate. Look at the shimmer and the shine and the radiance and the translucence. Because that's the light within us. When Pliny the Elder or one of his contemporaries admired a valuable piece of amber, the first thing to strike their eyes would have been the suggestion of fire or the material's gentle glow. The amber's color was certainly evocative of wine, honey, wax, embers, or fire, but was of secondary importance to its shine. This glow had been the defining characteristic of amber for centuries. Brilliance in amber, ice, rock crystal, or any stone was possible only because of its transparency. We're in a moment of transparency, of shattering illusion. Pluto, going back, shining the light on the underbelly of everything that's been wrong in this era, that has been corrupted, the goo, making it transparent. The ancients believed that transparency was possible because light was let through a material. Thus, transparent materials had performative powers. We are transformed and we transform when we are transparent. We rise like the kite. We are très léger, as they would say in French, very light. The brilliance of amber, enhanced by the rich connotations of its names, ensured it a place in ancient literature alongside other rare, prized, and luminous materials. Sight-arresting materials such as gold, silver, and ivory, whose magnificence often was associated with something beyond the merely human, but more so with the heroic or divine. So we have a choice. We're at this moment to be more than merely human, to be heroic, to be divine, to carry the mantle of freedom forward, to be transparent, translucent, to radiate and shine our divine nature, our divine light, like in the quote, become the master of your response. The lion illuminating, the light illuminating, reflecting and shining, piercing our being so that the best of us comes forward, not the least of us. And why? Let's just sum it up and put a big bow on this. It's two last things. It's our key word, guardianship, because we are the guardians of Mother Earth, of this moment, of one another, of ourselves, of our lives, of our soul. We are the guardian. And a guardianship, a person appointed to oversee and make decisions on behalf of a protected person, place, or thing. So we're protected. Rise of the Guardians, legends unite. We're the guardianship. We are the guardians of this moment. And what we do in this moment matters greatly. Why? Because here's number 5. It was 555. 555 denotes change, and it can denote great change, big change. Neither negative or positive in nature, simply divine and neutral. And so the unseen, and I'm just going to bring this up again. Here's a beautiful new image. 555, it's overlaid. There's a woman in the foreground with that same piece of fabric. And the sun is setting or rising, setting on the past, rising on the future. And you see the beauty and the harmony and her oneness, her openness, and her joy, holding this mantle of freedom that she carries. And it's as if in the image she's saying, I recognize my responsibility in this moment, and I cherish it, and I value it, and I will carry it forward. That is where we are. It is where we are going. And I'm going to see about, because there are many Sabian symbols we did not get to, and they discuss the who, the what, the why, and I may bring those in next week, so we will share them then. But in this moment, the future, blowing the roof off the past, unite, coming together. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, meaning Columbia, the ideal of liberty, justice, freedom, equality, harmony. It's a culminating moment in time where we reach a point of highest development, and we are all being implored to carry the mantle of freedom forward. This figurative cloak symbolizing preeminence or authority. This cloak of Columbia. Because where the kite and where that cloak and that mantle, where that guides us, where that lifts us above the clouds, love lifting us up. And the radiance of amber at our feet, under our feet, illuminating us, illuminating the path forward. We need only recognize it, connect with it, see it, and carry it through. Because change, 555, change is afoot. Change is present. Love you all. Thank you so much. Olivia saying thank you, Pluto. Amen. And we will see you all next week. Be well.